Once again, the festive season is upon us, and as we all know, video games and Christmas go together like turkey and stuffing. No, wait, I did that one last year. Mistletoe and wine, bubble and squeak, cheese and crackers. Where was I? Oh yeah. So anyway, Christmas Day has for many years now been that joyous day when lucky kids received their first consoles or computers and embarked on their gaming journeys, and it's something that we can mostly all relate to. However, despite that deep capitalist connection to Christmas, there really aren't that many Yuletide themed games out there, and this is especially true of the Mega Drive. James Pond 2 RoboCod is somewhat connected to Christmas, I guess. The only other Sega 16-bit game that I can think of that has a Christmas theme is the Sunsoft published Daze Before Christmas. It was developed in 1994 by Norwegian Guns for Hire Funcom, whose biggest hits of the time were Disney's Pocahontas for the Mega Drive, their console ports of Samurai Showdown and Fatal Fury Special, and A Dinosaur's Tale for the Mega Drive, based upon the animated movie of a similar name, a lot of the code for which ended up in Days Before Christmas. Nowadays, Funcom are better known for Anarchy Online, an MMORPG that's been going for near on 20 years now. Days Before Christmas puts you squarely into the boots of Santa Claus.
How original.
And your mission is to save Christmas.
Daring today, aren't we?
From a gang of evildoers who, according to the long and wordy intro, have scared away the elves and reindeer and cursed the presents, scuppering the holiday season for the children the world over. Guide Santa through 24 festive levels in all to thwart the villainous plan and save Christmas. Unsurprisingly for a Mega Drive game, this is an action platformer with all the usual mechanics. Santa can defeat enemies by jumping on them or by flinging magic at them. Vanquished foes leave behind presents, quite literally, for Santa to collect. Other presents found about the stages conceal different surprises, from rescued worker elves to booby traps of bombs or more enemies, but also helpful items such as extra lives or hit points. Santa is quite the tough cookie in this game, starting out with a good few hit points, represented by the Santa hats. But if you do lose a life, you'll return to the start of the level, unless you've found one of these bells, in which case you'll start from there. Run, jump, and murder your way through each level to find the exit, which takes the form of this star here. Points are awarded for every elf and present rescued. Every few levels, the action changes to a flying stage in which Santa has to deliver all the presents that he picked up earlier. Flying over the offensively stereotyped rooftops of Britain, America, Russia and Japan, the goal of these stages is to, counterintuitively, drop presents into as many of the smoking chimneys as you can. Burning fires and parcels. Does anyone else see the problem here? Collecting presents and redistributing them isn't enough though, as there are some boss stages scattered about as well. But there's one more trick up this game's sleeve. Occasionally you'll find this item, which, according to the game's developers, is a cup of mulled wine. Imbibing this wintry tipple temporarily transforms you into Anti-Claus, the devilish evil twin of St. Nick. Anti-Claus is invincible and wallops his enemies with his sack of toys, but he can't open any of the presents that he finds. And that's basically the game, but is it any good? Okay, well, let's start with what I liked and then go from there. I liked the graphics. The sprites are appropriately cartoonish and lively, always a recipe for the best looking games on the Mega Drive, and for a mid-90s game there's really no excuse for anything less. The music is also pretty good. One might expect that being a seasonal game, working a few public domain Christmas ditties into the soundtrack would have sufficed, but the composer went the extra mile with a varied soundtrack that not only carries the game's festive tone, but reflects the atmosphere of the different levels, from the snowy wastes to the underground caves. However, the gameplay leaves much to be desired. It's not particularly challenging and can be played through with very little drama in a pair of hours. Santa's generous amount of hit points and ranged attacks make light work of the stages, while the boss battles pose almost no danger at all. In fact, the final boss took a pitiful 30 seconds to beat, which is ludicrous even for light-hearted festive fluff. Daze Before Christmas also breaks the one cardinal rule of platforming level design that should never be broken, and that is blind jumps. There are more than a few occasions where you find yourself on a precipice with no idea what to expect below. Is it the safety of another platform, a pit of spikes, or a plummet to your death? Impossible to tell until you take that leap of faith. Proportionately more of my deaths were due to falling to my doom thanks to leaps into the unknown than getting killed by enemies. Some levels are pointlessly short, while others seem to drag on for an eternity, some of which giving no clear direction as to where to go. Given that there are 24 levels in the game, there is some repetition as well, so some of the levels start to look much like earlier ones. While the anti-clause item is portrayed as a negative in the context of the game's story, in fact it's more useful than not, and that it's usually found near the more enemy-infested parts of levels can't be a coincidence. Other than being unable to collect presents for the 20 seconds or so that it's in effect, there's no penalty, so it's usually worth picking it up whenever you see it. It's surprising to me that Daze Before Christmas never saw the light of day on the Amiga, because it looks and plays for all the world like the sort of Euro platformer that was popular for the machine at the time. Daze Before Christmas only retailed in Australia, although a Germany exclusive release was planned but dropped. Due to its tiny market and limited run, today it's something of a Mega Drive rarity. Copies in the wild today command a hefty price tag, and that's only gone up in the last couple of months, according to this price tracker. However, a cursory eBay search reveals that might just be driven by one seller, who's listing the same boxed copy several times over. Luckily, I did find this one for under €30, but you can't have that one because I bought it. Craig 1, Scalpers 0. Daze Before Christmas was actually ported by Funcom for the SNES, and that version did see a limited European release. But unfortunately for the USA, distributor Sunsoft went bankrupt before their version was ready for retail. If you absolutely must play Daze Before Christmas, and you don't much fancy parting with huge bundles of cash for it, take a look over on My Abandonware, where you can find a ROM to play on your emulator of choice. Overall, Daze Before Christmas is entertaining, though not particularly taxing, but there are some neat graphics and jolly festive music to enjoy while you play. I'll give it 3 Christmas puddings out of 5. That's all from me for this seasonal special of Retro Respawn. Until the next time, thanks for watching and have a happy and safe Christmas.